Chapter 3289. As soon as Lu Ming returned to the ghost's den, he sent a message to Yuan Huan. Not long after, Yuan Huan arrived at the ghost's den. Battle Ancestor, do you need our help this time? Yuan Huan guessed Lu Ming's intention. That's right. I've settled down in the Taishu dynasty. I need experts to help me develop my forces. Lu Ming said. All right. Battle Ancestor, come with me. I'll select experts for you. Yuan Huan said. He waved his hand and a wave of energy enveloped Lu Ming. Then he brought Lu Ming to the ghost's den. In a few flashes they arrived at the ghost's den. Lu Ming's side. Yuan Huan's speed was amazing. He looked forward to it and envied it. Battle Ancestor, please wait here for a while. I'll arrange for some people. Yuan Huan said and left the ghost's den. Lu Ming did not have to wait for long. After about half a day, Yuan Huan returned with a few hundred ghosts' den. These ghosts' den were either old or middle-aged ghosts' den. Their auras were extremely dense. At the very least, they were stronger than Lu Ming's. Battle Ancestor, there are 300 people here. They are all 7th-layer divine kings and above. As for the divine emperors, many of them are in seclusion. It will take some time to invite them out. Yuan Huan said. It's fine. We'll wait for a few more days. Lu Ming said. 3 days passed in a flash. Whoosh! Suddenly, more than 10 figures appeared in the sky. There were a total of 11 Nether Ape Combat Tribe members. Each of them gave Lu Ming an extremely terrifying feeling. Divine Emperors. Lu Ming's first instinct told him that they were all Divine Emperors. The leader was the Great Elder of the Ghost's Den, Yuan Kong. I heard that the Battle Ancestor is going to bring some experts out to develop. I came uninvited. This time, I must follow the Battle Ancestor. Yuan Song shouted as soon as he arrived. Lu Ming smiled. He recalled that when he first arrived, Yuan Song had wanted to kill him. After being subdued by Lu Ming, he obeyed Lu Ming more than anyone else. Yuan Song, as the first elder, I don't think it's appropriate for you to go out like this. Yuan Huan said, somewhat speechless. He did not inform Yuan Song, and Yuan Song came uninvited. What's wrong with that? You're more than enough to take charge of the Dark Ape Battle Tribe. I've been cooped up here for so many years. If I don't go out for a walk, I'll go crazy. The ape shouted. Yuan Huan was helpless. All right, then let the Great Elder leave. Lu Ming said. Yuan Song's strength was unfathomable. He would definitely be of help to Lu Ming when they got out. After that, Lu Ming bade farewell to Yuan Huan and left the Ghost region with the Dark Ape Fighting Tribe's 11 Divine Emperors and 307th Heaven God King Realm experts. Although the Dark Ape Battle Tribe was once Jingyu's subordinate, not many people knew about it. As long as no one knew about the relationship between the Dark Ape Battle Tribe and Jingyu, it would not be a problem even if they were brought to the Great Illusionary Saint Capital. Not long after, they left the entrance of the Ghost region. After leaving, the members of the Abyssal Ape Battle Clan all put on large black robes that covered their bodies and faces. After that, they headed towards the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace. Lu Ming wanted to use the interstellar transmission array in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace. However, before they could fly far, they were blocked. Runes suddenly appeared in the starry sky in front of them. The runes shone, and a group of people stepped out from the runes. All of them were wearing golden robes, and there were more than 1,000 of them. They were all experts from the Jin family. Previously, the other party had set up a concealment array here. Lu Ming knew that the Jin family and the Qin family must have spread the news a few days ago. Lu Ming, you're really nearby. Who are these people? They're sneaking around. An expert from the Jin family said coldly. The Jin family. Hee, I didn't expect them to send over 1,000 experts. They really think highly of me, Lu Ming. Lu Ming sneered. Lu Ming, if you don't die, my Jin family won't be at ease. No matter what, we must kill you. An expert from the Jin family said coldly. I'm afraid you can't kill me. Lu Ming said indifferently, his face calm. If he was alone, he wouldn't be so calm. However, he was surrounded by experts. Is that so? You think only my Jin family came? Come out. The expert from the Jin family shouted. Suddenly, runes appeared around Lu Ming's group. It was obvious that this was another concealment array. Then a large group of figures appeared. Qin family, Winged Man family. Very good, everyone is here. Lu Ming sneered. Those who appeared later were from the Qin family and the Winged Man family. Each family had sent over 1,000 experts. They really thought highly of Lu Ming. Thousands of experts surrounded Lu Ming. Lu Ming couldn't escape even if he had wings. Haha, did you see that? Lu Ming, although I don't know where you brought a group of helpers, let them be buried with you. The expert from the Jin family laughed. Don't talk nonsense with him. Kill. A cold voice came from the Jin family. Then, an old man stepped out. His body emitted a bright golden light, and an incomparably terrifying aura erupted. Boom. This person stretched out a palm. It was a huge golden palm, and it grabbed at Lu Ming and the people from the Dark Ape Battle Tribe. The palm covered the sky as if it could crush a planet. Divine Lord. This was definitely a Divine Lord realm expert. This time, in order to deal with Lu Ming, the Jin family actually sent out a Divine Lord realm expert. In the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, there were very few Divine Lord realm experts. Even if it was as powerful as the Jin family, there wouldn't be more than a few of them. They were really willing to go all out. However, Lu Ming's expression didn't change at all, because a Divine Lord realm expert from the Dark Ape Battle Tribe had already stepped out. With a low roar, he threw out a punch. An incomparably huge fist traversed the sky and blasted toward the golden palm. Boom. The entire starry sky was in chaos. At the moment when the two collided, a beam of light rushed out from the point of collision and directly pierced through 7 or 8 meteorites. It was really devastating. Then the fist and the golden palm shook violently and collapsed one after another. Divine Lord Realm. You also have a Divine Lord Realm expert. The Divine Lord from the Jin family looked extremely ugly. They thought that by sending out a Divine Lord to kill Lu Ming, they would be foolproof. They didn't expect that Lu Ming also had a Divine Lord beside him. This was really beyond their expectations. Friend, we are the Jin family, the Qin family and the Winged Man family of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. This Lu Ming is our sworn enemy. You won't benefit from helping him. Why don't you help us and kill this person? Our 3 families will definitely prepare generous gifts for you. The Divine Lord Realm expert from the Jin family said. He wanted the Divine Lord from the Dark Ape Battle Tribe to change sides. Lu Ming's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. Wasn't it ridiculous to ask the Dark Ape Battle Tribe to change sides? Oh, you and the War Ancestor are sworn enemies? Then you all deserve to die. The Dark Ape Battle Tribe expert said coldly and murderously. Chapter 3290. The Jin family, Qin family, and Winged Man family were all stunned. Combat Ancestor? What did that mean? Kill. The expert from the Dark Ape Fighting Clan did not care. He charged forward and punched out. His fist expanded rapidly and covered the sky. Let's attack together and kill Lu Ming. The Jin family Sir God roared and charged forward to meet the Sir God expert of the Dark Ape Fighting Clan. Kill. 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 The people from the Jin family, the Qin family, and the Winged Men family shouted and pounced on Lu Ming and the rest. With so many experts attacking together, the terrifying aura shook the starry sky. Especially the Winged Man family. A bolt of lightning charged toward Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. This bolt of lightning was transformed from an expert of the Winged Man family. This expert was also a Sir God. This time, not only did the Jin family send a Sir God, but even the Winged Man family sent a Sir God. Only the Qin family did not send a Sir God. The Sir God of the Winged Man family flapped his wings and moved at an incredible speed. He wanted to kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop to prevent further complications. However, someone was faster than him. Let me. The great elder of the Dark Ape Fighting Clan said. His eyes were filled with intense fighting spirit. He had not fought for many years and was itching for a fight. His body moved slightly and landed in front of Lu Ming. He threw out a simple punch. Boom. The void in front of him exploded. It was as if the entire starry sky had exploded. The terrifying fist energy rushed toward the Sir God expert of the Winged Man family. No. The Sir God of the Winged Man family seemed to have felt something extremely terrifying. He screamed in horror. Before he could finish his sentence, his body exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. The Sir God of the Winged Man family was killed by Yuan Song in an instant. Moreover, Yuan Song's fist energy did not stop. It continued to rush toward the remaining experts of the Winged Man family. Bam! Bam! Wherever the fist energy passed, the experts of the Winged Man family exploded. In just an instant, all the experts of the Winged Man family in that area exploded. Annihilated. Over 1,000 experts of the Winged family were annihilated in an instant. The people from the Jin and Qin families froze. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and fear. Run, run, run. There's an undefeatable existence on the other side, run. Then the people of the Jin family and the Qin family shouted in fear. They were almost scared out of their wits. One punch, just one punch was enough to kill a Sir God from the Winged Man family and thousands of experts. What kind of strength was this? There was actually such a terrifying existence by Lu Ming's side. If they didn't escape, only death awaited them. Even the Divine Lord from the Jin family was nearly scared to death. He broke out in a cold sweat and wanted to escape. However, there was no way the Divine Lord of the Dark Ape Battle Tribe would let him escape. Ghost Battle Art. The God Emperor of the Nether Ape Fighting Clan let out a low growl as he used a secret technique unique to the Nether Ape Fighting Clan, the Ghost Battle Art. After using it, his battle prowess had doubled. Boom! He threw out a punch, causing the expert from the Jin family to tremble violently. He spat out blood and was sent flying. Then the Nether Ape Fighting Clan expert stepped into the void and attacked, not giving the other party a chance to breathe. I'll leave these people to you. Kill them all. Yuan Song ordered the other Divine Lords of the Nether Ape Fighting Clan. Leave it to me. I'll do it. 2 Divine Lords of the Nether Ape Fighting Clan charged at the Qin and Jin family members respectively. Whoosh! One of the Abyssal Ape Battle Clan's members stretched out his hand. His furry hand covered the entire sky as it moved towards the Qin clan's army, completely enveloping over 1,000 Qin clan members. No. Spare us, Lu Ming, spare us. Lu Ming, how could you be so cruel? The Qin family members screamed. Some were begging for mercy, some were crying, and some were cursing. Then, the big furry hand grabbed them and stopped them abruptly. That was because the thousands of Qin family members were all killed. On the other side, another Nether Ape Fighting Clan expert threw out a punch, causing a huge explosion in the starry sky. The destructive power killed the thousands of Jin family members. In just a short while, only the Divine Lord of the Jin family was left. However, the Divine Lord was not in a good condition either. He was severely injured and spat out blood. It was only a matter of time before he was defeated. What kind of monster did my Jin family offend? The heavens want to destroy my Jin family. The Divine Lord of the Jin family sighed. His heart was dead. He knew that he would not be able to survive today. Moreover, he seemed to have seen the end of the Jin family. At this moment, his heart was filled with deep regret. The Jin family should not have offended Lu Ming. However, it was too late. Poof! A fist pierced through his heart. A destructive force burst forth, and the Jin family's Divine Lord powerhouse exploded. At this point, the thousands of troops from the Jin family, Qin family, and Winged Man family were all annihilated. However, Lu Ming did not want to let it go just like that. The Jin family, Qin family, and Winged Man family were bent on killing Lu Ming. Even the Divine Lords were mobilized. This time, if he did not bring the Nether Ape Fighting Clan experts out, he would really be in danger. These 3 families could not be left alive. However, the headquarters of these 3 families were in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. The overall strength of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion was still very shocking. If he brought the Nether Ape Fighting Clan experts into the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, it would probably not be enough. However, although the headquarters of the major families were in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, their ancestral lands were in different star fields. Then, I will destroy the ancestral lands of the Jin family, Qin family, and Winged Man family. Lu Ming said coldly. Then he changed his direction and headed in another direction. The Golden River Starfield was where the Jin family's ancestral land was. The Golden River Star was a huge planet of life. It was extremely prosperous. On it, there was an extremely magnificent giant city. In this giant city, the descendants of the Jin family lived. Lu Ming brought the experts of the Nether Ape Fighting Clan and appeared in the sky above the giant city. Who are you people? You are disrespecting my Jin family by standing in the sky. I will give you a chance to come down and admit your mistake. On the city wall, the experts of the Jin family noticed Lu Ming and the others and immediately shouted in a high and mighty tone. Boom. Lu Ming was too lazy to talk nonsense with the other party and directly attacked. The tyrant god's spear was held in his hand and slashed down with the spear. A spear light that was as long as 1,000,000 miles, as huge as a mountain, crushed down on the giant city. Of course, the giant city was too big. A spear light that was 1,000,000 miles long was only seen once in the giant city. You are courting death. Attack. On the city wall, the guards of the Jin family shouted angrily. One by one they rushed to the sky. Golden light shone as they attacked Lu Ming. However, when Lu Ming's spear light crushed down, those guards exploded and were killed in an instant. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, ordinary divine kings would only be killed in an instant. Who is it? Courting death. Someone is provoking us. Kill them. The giant city was alarmed. Countless experts rushed out. Chapter 3291. In the Jin family's huge city, golden light shone everywhere as pillars of golden light shot into the sky. Countless experts from the Jin family rushed out to kill those who provoked them. I'll leave it to you, Lu Ming said as he retreated. There were many experts in the Jin family's ancestral land. He would not foolishly go up there, so he naturally left it to Yuan Song and the rest. I'll do it. Yuan Song was excited. He had been holding back for too long. Once there was a chance, he could not hold back. Boom. Yuan Song stepped out and appeared in the middle of the huge city. He stepped out and a huge foot formed, stomping down from the sky. Suddenly, screams were heard as a large number of Jin family members were killed. Rumble. The huge foot stomped down in the huge city, causing the entire city to shake. In the middle of the huge city, there was a footprint that was tens of millions of miles long. Countless people died under the footprint. Damn it, who dares to cause trouble in my Jin family's ancestral land? Activate the absolute kill array. Deep in the Jin family's ancestral land, there was a furious roar as a dazzling golden light shot into the sky. Another divine Lord Realm powerhouse. Lu Ming sighed. The Jin family's foundation was really deep. They had already sent out a Lord God previously, and now there was another Lord God in the ancestral land. In the headquarters of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence, there was at least one Lord God in charge. As such, the Jin family had at least 3 Lord Gods. Buzz. The Jin family's huge city was filled with countless runes. There were also countless runes on the walls of the huge city. This was the absolute kill array that the Jin family had set up for countless years. Once it was activated, it could kill a Lord God. Kill. The Lord God of the Jin family was in the core position, presiding over the array. The array emitted endless golden light that gathered into a golden battle sword that slashed at Yuan Kong. A pitch-black crack was slashed open in the sky, and it exploded continuously. In an instant, the golden battle sword was in front of Yuan Kong. Yuan Song extended a furry claw and grabbed forward. The golden battle sword was caught in his hand, unable to move. Bam. Then, Yuan Song clenched his fist and the golden battle sword shattered, turning into energy and disappearing. Everyone from the Jin family, including the Lord God, stared with their eyes wide open. They could not believe what they had just seen. Not good. The hearts of the Jin family's divine lords turned cold. Their Jin family's absolute kill array was extremely powerful and could kill divine lords. However, Yuan Song easily caught it and crushed the battle sword formed by the formation. According to what he knew, there were not many people in the entire 9 Extinction Heavenly King mansion who could do this. This friend. The Jin family's divine lord hurriedly spoke, trying to calm Yuan Song down. However, Yuan Songkai was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He had already attacked with a punch. Boom. The huge city shook violently, and explosions occurred in all directions. The Absolute Kill Grand Formation's base was destroyed, and the Absolute Kill Grand Formation was broken. Come, let's fight. Let me see what kind of strength you have. Then Yuan Song charged towards the Jin family's Divine Lord powerhouse and blasted out a punch. That divine monarch was alarmed. He exploded with all his fighting prowess. His entire body turned golden as he used the Jin family's ultimate technique, the void-breaking hand and the void-breaking sword. However, when Ape Captain's fist landed, the Jin family's Divine Lord coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. His body nearly cracked open. He was slightly stronger than the previous Jin family's Divine Lord, but compared to Yuan Song, there was still a huge gap. He barely managed to block 2 moves before he was killed by Yuan Kong, too weak. How boring. Yuan Song shook his head. Everyone from the Jin family, run. An important figure from the Jin family roared, asking the Jin family members to escape. Every single one of them would escape. However, there were too many divine monarchs around Lu Ming. They blocked off all directions. The Jin family experts who escaped were all killed. After a while, the huge city of the Jin family exploded. Almost all the Jin family members above the divine realm were killed. As for those below the martial god realm, Lu Ming could not be bothered to kill them. The Jin family's ancestral land was destroyed just like that. Then Lu Ming and the others moved to the Winged family's ancestral land. The Winged family's ancestral land was very strange. It was an extremely huge ancient tree that floated in the starry sky. This ancient tree was too big. It was like a small planet. Countless winged men lived here. Lu Ming and the others arrived quickly. The Winged family members did not know that the Jin family's ancestral land had been destroyed. Not long after, the ancient tree exploded. Almost all the Winged family experts above the divine realm were killed. After destroying the Winged family's ancestral land, they killed their way to the Qin family's ancestral land and destroyed it. Lu Ming did not show any mercy. The 3 families had tried to kill him several times. If he had not been lucky, he would have died long ago. Lu Ming would not show any mercy to his enemies. After destroying the 3 families' ancestral lands, Lu Ming led the people of the Nether Ape fighting tribe and left the Jiuju Heavenly King mansion. Not long after, the news of the 3 families' ancestral lands being destroyed shook the entire Jiuju Heavenly King mansion. This was explosive news. The ancestral lands of the 3 families with deep foundations and countless years of history had been destroyed. This matter was too serious. When the family leaders of the 3 families heard the news, they almost fainted from anger. Immediately, the 3 families sent experts to the 3 families' ancestral lands to look for clues. However, they did not find anything. Who is it? Who is it? The senior members of the 3 families met. The family leader of the Jin family roared with red eyes. His heart was bleeding. The ancestral lands were destroyed and countless experts were killed. From now on, the family leader of the Jin family was bound to plummet and their strength would be greatly reduced. Could it be Lu Ming? The family leader of the Winged family gritted his teeth and his eyes were red. Everyone was shocked. Could it really be Lu Ming? Because the experts they sent to kill Lu Ming could not be contacted. Even the divine emperors could not be contacted. They knew that it was most likely a disaster. So many experts went to kill Lu Ming, but most of them failed. This proved that there was a terrifying expert by Lu Ming's side. Then they guessed that Lu Ming killed the people who ambushed him, and went to the 3 families' ancestral lands in anger. This was the most likely possibility. Lu Ming deserves to die. They roared angrily and at the same time, they were shocked. Lu Ming had such a powerful existence by his side. It was too terrifying. If they were not hiding in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence, they would most likely be in danger. Pass down the order. The people in the family are not to leave the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. Pass down the order. Then, the 3 families passed down the order. The experts of the 3 families were not to leave the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. They were afraid and could only hide. As for revenge, they could forget about it. It was more important to stay alive. Lu Ming and the rest left the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. They did not immediately return to the Great Void Holy Capital. Instead, they went to the Black Jade Gold Mine. The general of the Black Jade Army, Bi Kwa, wanted to kill him. It was time to settle the score. Moreover, Lu Ming had to find out who was the one who instigated Bi Kwa to kill him. Chapter 3292. When Lu Ming arrived at the Black Jade Gold Mine, he noticed something strange. Bique was missing, and someone else was in charge of the Black Jade Army. Lu Ming brought Yuan Song and the rest to subdue this person and interrogate him about Bique's whereabouts. This person was terrified and could only answer honestly. It turned out that Bique had been transferred away a long time ago. Ever since the remnants of the Saint Demon dynasty attacked the Black Jade Gold Mine, Bique and his lieutenants had been transferred away. As for where they were transferred, no one knew. It's really foolproof. Lu Ming felt a little helpless. Obviously, the other party had already made preparations. Lu Ming guessed that regardless of whether he was dead or not, Bique and his lieutenants would have been transferred away. They might even have been killed to prevent people from investigating them. Since there were no more clues about Bique, Lu Ming could only bring Yuan Song and the rest to the Taishu sacred capital. With Lu Ming's current status, bringing a few hundred people into the Taishu sacred capital was no problem at all. After bringing Yuan Song and the rest into the Taishu sacred capital, Lu Ming brought them to the Blue Merchant's place to stay with him. This place was more remote, and at the same time he could take care of the Blue Merchant. After settling Yuan Song and the rest, Lu Ming headed to the Taishu sacred courtyard. However, when Lu Ming returned to the Taishu sacred courtyard, he received a piece of news. The crown prince was holding a mystical dragon banquet and had invited the top young prodigies of the sacred capital to attend. Autumn Moon was also there. Mystical dragon banquet. Lu Ming was curious and grabbed a young man to ask. After asking, Lu Ming was shocked. The mystical dragon banquet was a banquet held with mystical dragons as delicacies. They would eat mystical dragon meat, drink mystical dragon blood, and enjoy mystical dragon liver. How is this possible? The mystical dragon tribe is one of the strongest tribes in the primitive universe. How could the Taishu dynasty dare to do this? Lu Ming asked in shock. The divine dragon clan was extremely powerful. In the vast primitive universe, they were the pinnacle of existence. They were extremely powerful and could be found all over the primitive universe. The crown prince of the Taishu dynasty actually dared to hold a mystical dragon banquet in broad daylight, using mystical dragons as a delicacy. If the mystical dragon clan were to find out, they would unleash their wrath and the Taishu dynasty would be flattened in an instant. Although the Taishu dynasty was strong, it was far inferior to the mystical dragon clan, which stood at the peak of the primitive universe. One of the strongest races in the universe? Where are you from? The young man looked at Lu Ming with a strange expression. What do you mean? Lu Ming frowned. The mystical dragons were one of the strongest races in the universe, but that's old history. A long time ago, about a few dozen stellar years ago, the mystical dragons were wiped out. Their homeworld was breached, and almost all of the mystical dragons were killed. You must have come from a very remote place, so you don't know about it? The young man looked at Lu Ming suspiciously. There's such a thing? Lu Ming was shocked. However, everything he knew about the mystical dragon clan was learned in the chaotic astral river. Ever since he left the chaotic astral river, he had not deliberately tried to find out more about the mystical dragon clan. He never thought that the mystical dragon clan would be wiped out, and even their homeworld would be breached. Which force attacked the mystical dragon clan? Lu Ming asked again. I heard that it was the alliance of several other pinnacle races in the universe. I also heard that the Supreme Heavenly Palace also took action. The young man's voice became much softer as he spoke, as if he was very apprehensive. The Heavenly Palace. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He felt that this matter was definitely not simple. The other pinnacle races, and even the Heavenly Palace, took action. There were many secrets behind this. Of course, Lu Ming knew that the inside story was not something he could interfere with. He could only sigh. He had a good relationship with the mystical dragon clan along the way. He still had the blood essence of the 9 dragons, and he also cultivated the mystical dragon aspect technique. He never thought that the incomparably powerful mystical dragon clan would end up like this. The strongest of the mystical dragon clan was almost wiped out, and their homeworld was breached. The status of the mystical dragon clan fell greatly, and they are now a small clan in the universe. However, there are still many mystical dragons scattered across the universe. These mystical dragons have become the prey of other races. They are treated as pets, slaves, mounts, and even as delicacies. The young man continued, as if he was lamenting that the mystical dragon clan, who had once dominated the universe, had ended up like this. Lu Ming suddenly recalled that the 9 mystical dragons were pulling the chariot for the Taishu sage emperor. He was puzzled at that time. The mystical dragon clan was a pinnacle race, but the Taishu sage emperor dared to use 9 mystical dragons to pull his chariot. Was he not afraid of revenge? Now he understood everything. The mystical dragon clan had fallen. Now, the crown prince had even held a mystical dragon banquet to entertain the elites. It was said that the mystical dragon banquet had been held several times. Autumn Moon is also there. Let's go take a look then. Lu Ming pondered, then left the Taishu imperial family sacred court. The mystical dragon banquet was held in the Aged Autumn Garden. The Aged Autumn Garden was the crown prince's private residence. It occupied a vast area, and the environment was naturally excellent. There were also layers of formations set up. Cultivating here was 10 times more effective than cultivating outside. Recently, the Aged Autumn Garden was bustling with activity. A large number of elites had gathered. In a vast open space, the crown prince sat on the highest seat. On both sides of the crown prince was the second prince, as well as other princes and princesses. Below them were some of the most elite elites, such as the elites from the previous batch of Taishu imperial family sacred court. There were also the top 20 elites who had joined the Taishu imperial family sacred court this time. Di Jiani, Su Wuya, Chu Qingkong, Qian Xingxian, and the others were all there. Qiuyu was one of them. Below them were the elites who were a tier lower. Overall, most of them were the elites from the previous batch of Taishu imperial family sacred court. The newcomers were the minority after all, so there were not many of them. However, there were still more than 1,000 of them. There were more than 10,000 people in the entire venue. There were some delicacies on everyone's table, but not many people touched them. Everyone was waiting for the dragon meat and dragon wine. Dragon meat and dragon wine. Someone beside the crown prince shouted. Immediately, a large number of beautiful palace maids brought over plates and wine jugs. The fragrance of the wine wafted over. After the basin was opened, the rich aroma of the meat wafted out. This was the fragrance of the dragon meat. It was a supreme delicacy. As for the wine, it was also made from dragon blood and some rare divine materials. It was also a supreme wine. Some people had already begun to swallow their saliva. In the era where the mystical dragons dominated the universe, dragon meat was a delicacy that very few people could eat. It was not that they could not obtain it, but that they did not dare to eat it. Once the news was leaked, the dragon tribe would take revenge. Even if people ate it, they would do it secretly. They would not be able to enjoy it openly like now. Chapter 3293. Ladies and gentlemen, please. The crown prince raised his wine glass and said loudly, "Please." The others raised their wine glasses and drained it in one gulp. Good wine, this is really good wine. Unparalleled sauce. Many people exclaimed with an intoxicated look. Their bodies were glowing and overflowing with spiritual essence. The wine brewed with dragon blood contained rich spiritual essence. After drinking it, it would be beneficial to one's cultivation. Many people could no longer hold back, and began to grab the dragon meat and eat heartily, eating with great joy. The scene was very lively. Everyone chatted and drank with each other. Autumn Moon sat at a table with a girl, and frowned slightly. To be honest, she did not like such occasions. If the girl beside her did not invite her, she would not have come. The girl beside her was also a new batch of students. She looked like she was only 18 or 19 years old. She met Autumn Moon during a mission, and had a good relationship with her. Her name was Mo Ning. Sister Autumn Moon, why aren't you eating? Mo Ning stuffed a piece of dragon meat into her mouth and looked at Autumn Moon curiously. I don't have much of an appetite. You can eat, Autumn Moon said. At this moment, a figure walked over with a wine glass. Autumn Moon, right? Come, let me toast you. A young man in a black robe said with a wine glass. No, Autumn Moon said indifferently. Her face was cold, and she did not give him any face. The young man's face stiffened, and he was a little embarrassed. Miss Autumn Moon, I toast you out of goodwill. Give me some face. The young man said again. Get lost. Autumn Moon shouted coldly. The young man's face stiffened. In the end, he turned around and left with a gloomy face. Hee Lu Su, you want to hit on her too? She's Lu Ming's woman. A cold voice sounded. Autumn Moon looked over and saw a few young men in black robes. It was easy to recognize that they were the geniuses of the abysmal Heavenly King residence. Autumn Moon knew one of them. He was the same batch of geniuses Yu Xing. He challenged Lu Ming and was defeated by Lu Ming. The others were the old students from the previous batch. The one who spoke was Yu Xing, Lu Ming's woman? I heard that Lu Ming was attacked by the remnants of the previous dynasty when he was carrying out a mission previously. He has already perished. She is now alone. Another young man from the abysmal Heavenly King residence said. Oh, I see. That's great. Autumn Moon, my cousin Yu Tian. He's one of the top geniuses of the previous batch. He's interested in you. Why don't you accompany him? Yu Xing smiled and pointed at a youth with a crooked nose beside him. Nonsense, my young master will be fine. Qiu Yu's expression was extremely ugly. You. Haha, after being surrounded by the remnants of the previous dynasty, even the high-level divine kings and divine monarchs of the Black Cloud army had died in battle. How could he have survived? Yu Xing sneered. His words were very unpleasant. Autumn Moon trembled in anger. She wasn't good with words and couldn't win against others. Haha, what a coincidence. My young master Chu Chengkong is also interested in Miss Autumn Moon. Why don't you follow my young master Chengkong? At that moment, a young man from the War God clan also laughed. Sitting beside him was Chu Chengkong. My young master Wu Fan is the son of the imperial advisor. He's also interested in Miss Autumn Moon. Miss Autumn Moon. Why don't you follow my young master Wu Fan? A young man beside Wu Fan teased. Qiu Yu's face flushed red. This was a blatant insult. The crown prince, second prince and the others drank casually. They looked on with interest and didn't stop them. You. Shameless. Mo Ning couldn't stand it anymore. He glared at Wu Fan, Chu Chengkong, Yu Xing and the others. How dare you talk to young master Wu Fan like that? Who do you think you are? Slap him. The young man beside Wu Fan shouted coldly. Then his body flashed like lightning and he rushed towards Mo Ning. He wanted to slap Mo Ning. This young man was very strong. Mo Ning couldn't dodge it. Just as the slap was about to land on Mo Ning's face, a fair hand grabbed the young man's wrist and shook it. Crack. Following a cry of agony, the young man's arm broke off inch by inch, and his body slammed heavily onto the ground. Arrays were set up all over the Thousand Autumns garden. The ground was extremely hard. The young man fell heavily on the ground. Then he bounced up and spat out a mouthful of blood. Ah, how dare you hit me? The young man spat out blood and screamed. However, before he could finish his sentence, Autumn Moon slapped him. The young man continued to scream and flew towards Wu Fan's table. Before he even reached the table, blood and teeth flew out. Beside Wu Fan, another young man flew out and caught the young man. The young man's face was swollen like a pig's head. His teeth were all missing and his body was twitching non-stop. How dare you hit the supreme talent of the Imperial Advisor's residence? The young man shouted. This young man was from the previous batch of students. He was very strong. However, Autumn Moon ignored him. He stood up slowly and looked at the abysmal Heavenly King residence and the War God family. He said coldly, the one who spoke just now, slap yourself 20 times and I'll let him go. Otherwise I'll cripple him. His voice was extremely cold. One could see how angry Autumn Moon was. Slap yourself? Cripple him? Hee, what a big tone. A young man from the abysmal Heavenly King residence said coldly, I'll take you down and bring you back to the Imperial Advisor's residence. The young man from the Imperial Preceptor's mansion shouted in anger. He dashed out and pounced towards Qiu Yu. His powerful force pressed down on her. Those who could participate in the Divine Dragon Banquet were all supreme talents. That young man had the cultivation of the fourth King God realm. Moreover, he had awakened his divine origin twice. As soon as he attacked, his attack was thunderous. However, Autumn Moon's face was cold. Her jade-like hand slashed out like a knife. Slash. With just one attack, the young man from the Imperial Advisor's residence was defeated. Her jade-like hand was like a knife, cutting off one of his arms. Then, Autumn Moon stepped forward and slapped the young man's chest. The young man screamed and was blown away. He fell on the ground and spat out blood. His body had almost been pierced through. The scene suddenly became quiet. Some people were shocked. A supreme talent of the fourth king god realm, who had awakened his divine origin twice, was killed by Autumn Moon easily. Apparently, Autumn Moon had improved a lot after entering the Sacred Institute of the Great Void Imperial family. It seems like you don't want to slap yourselves. Let me do it. Autumn Moon stepped forward with a cold face. She walked towards the people from the abysmal Heavenly King residence first. What a big tone. Let me fight you. Yu Xing said coldly. His body flashed and he dashed towards Autumn Moon. Chapter 3294. Yu Xing was very strong. When the Great Void Imperial Family Holy Court had been held, he had entered the top 20 and was ranked 19th. However, he had only been ranked 19th because he had challenged Lu Ming at the start. Otherwise, he would have been ranked higher. After all, the abysmal Heavenly King residence's attacks could affect one's soul. Yu Xing's figure flashed and he charged towards Chiu Autumn Moon like a ghost. Chiu Autumn Moon's face was cold. He used his hand as a blade and slashed at Yu Xing. Good chance. Yu Xing's eyes flashed and he used all his strength to attack. He wanted to affect Chiu Autumn Moon's soul and take down Autumn Moon in one fell swoop. Bang. Their attacks collided, but Chiu Yu didn't seem to be affected at all. Chiu Autumn Moon had obtained Tian Yen Lord's inheritance. How could Yu Xing's little tricks affect Chiu Autumn Moon? Not only could the Light of Destruction attack, it could also protect one's body and soul. However, Chiu Autumn Moon's attacks were like mountains and seas as they rushed towards Yu Xing. How did you? Ah. Yu Xing's eyes widened, revealing a look of disbelief. Then his arm exploded and his body retreated. Whoosh. Chiu Autumn Moon quickly caught up and appeared above Yu Xing, stomping towards his face. Yu Xing's body smashed into the ground like a meteor. His face hit the ground, causing the ground to rumble. Yu Xing's face had completely exploded. His flesh and blood were a mess. It was a horrible sight. Kill. Chiu Autumn Moon shouted coldly. His killing intent was cold as he fell towards Yu Xing at an astonishing speed. Chiu Autumn Moon hated Yu Xing to the core. This was a sure kill move. You dare? The other youths of the abysmal Heavenly King residence roared and rushed towards Chiu Autumn Moon. Even Yu Tian had attacked. Yu Tian's cultivation had reached the 5th layer of the Divine King realm. His strength was shocking. The geniuses of the abysmal Heavenly Lord Mansion were extremely fast. In a flash, they had arrived beside Autumn Moon and launched all sorts of attacks at Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon couldn't care less about killing Yu Xing. With a shout, the ruler's blade appeared in her hand and she slashed out. Saber light flashed explosively. The attacks of several youths from the 9 Nether Heavenly King Manor were instantly split into 2 halves. Then the dazzling saber light shot towards them. After a few screams, the geniuses from the abysmal Heavenly Palace retreated a few hundred meters before stopping. There was a deep wound on their chest, and blood was flowing out. With just one move, they were severely injured. Only Yu Tian managed to block Autumn Moon's attack. The two of them exchanged a blow, and a violent explosion erupted in the arena. Yu Tian's figure retreated slightly. Your cultivation base has reached the 5th King God layer. Yu Tian cried out in disbelief. The others were also shocked. Autumn Moon's cultivation base had reached the 5th King God layer. This speed was too fast. When the Great Void Imperial family's Sacred Institute opened, Autumn Moon's cultivation base was only at the 3rd King God layer. But now she had reached the 5th King God layer. This speed was too shocking. Yu Tian was from the previous batch of students. When he joined the Great Void Imperial family's Sacred Institute, his cultivation base had not reached the 3rd King God layer, but he was at the 2nd King God layer. However, after cultivating for so many years, he was only at the 5th King God layer. At the scene, Su Wuya, Chu Chengkong, and the others looked solemn. Autumn Moon's speed of improvement had exceeded their expectations. This girl is not bad. The Crown Prince murmured. His eyes shone. Die! Autumn Moon shouted and continued to attack Yution. The ruler's blade turned into an arc. It was breathtaking, as if it was going to split the heavens and earth. King of 100 Ghosts. Yuxing roared. He was not weak either. After so many years of cultivation, he had successfully awakened his origin source secret technique. He was the strongest genius of the younger generation of the abysmal Heavenly King Palace. A ghost king roared and charged towards Autumn Moon to fight against Autumn Moon. The two of them were extremely fast. In an instant, they had exchanged more than 10 blows. However, it was obvious that Autumn Moon was stronger. Yution was forced to retreat. It was only a matter of time before he was defeated. Go help Yution defeat Autumn Moon. At this moment, Wu Fan ordered a tall and sturdy young man beside him. All right. The tall and sturdy young man dashed towards Autumn Moon. This person was also very strong. He was at the 5th King God layer and had awakened his origin source secret technique. He was not weaker than Yution. The two experts joined forces and unleashed a storm of attacks towards Autumn Moon. In an instant, Autumn Moon was blocked. She could not gain the upper hand. The two of them were top geniuses. They were very strong. Do you think you can stop me with just the two of you? Autumn Moon said coldly. She continued to circulate her divine power. Boom. It was as if a volcano had erupted from within Autumn Moon's body. Autumn Moon had only circulated one type of sovereign divine power. Now she was using other types of divine powers. Autumn Moon controlled a total of 8 types of divine powers. When they were unleashed together, her combat strength increased tremendously. Blade radiance flashed. In an instant, thousands of blade radiances were unleashed. Poof. Poof. Yution and the tall and sturdy young man were hit by the blade radiances. Their bodies were almost cut in half as they retreated. So strong. How can her divine power be so strong? Many people were shocked. Qiu Yu's strength was truly astonishing. All of you, attack together. We must defeat this bitch today. Wu Fan ordered coldly. Beside him, there were 2 other geniuses from the Imperial Advisor's residence. The 2 of them also charged towards Autumn Moon. Their cultivations were even more terrifying. They were at the 6th King God layer. However, they had not awakened their origin source secret techniques. Young Master Wu Fan, I will also lend you a hand. A young man in a blue robe stood up. Someone recognized him. He was one of the geniuses from the Lan family. He had joined the Great Void Imperial family in the last batch. Blue Maple was sitting beside him. This person was also extremely powerful. He was known as the #1 genius of the Lan family. His cultivation had reached the 6th King God layer, and he had awakened his origin source secret technique. His strength was terrifying. So many experts surrounded Qiu Yu and unleashed a terrifying killing spree. The area was in chaos. However, the area was filled with arrays. Although the battle was fierce, it was not a problem. Despicable. So many people are attacking a girl. Despicable. Mo Ning gritted his teeth and was extremely angry. Unfortunately, his strength was too weak. Even if he wanted to help Autumn Moon, he could not. Other than Mo Ning, there were also some people who could not stand it and despised them. However, no one dared to help her. The Abysmal Heavenly King's residence was involved. The Abysmal Heavenly King's residence was one of the top among the 27 Heavenly King's residences. Not to mention the Imperial Advisor's residence and the Lan family. Who would want to offend these people for Autumn Moon? No one from the War God family stepped in. The main reason was that the War God family did not have such a powerful genius. The Crown Prince, the Second Prince and the others did not say anything. They just looked on calmly as if they had given their consent. This was also the reason why Wu Fan and the others dared to take action. Boom. 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 The battlefield was filled with explosions. A total of 6 experts joined forces to fight against Autumn Moon. The genius from the Lan family was especially powerful, and he was the main attacker. Chapter 3295. However, Qiu Autumn Moon was strong. She released her divine power and her blade flashed, blocking the attacks of the 5 strong cultivators. So what if you have more people? Lose! Shouted Qiu Autumn Moon. Black light flashed from her body. It was the god-destroying light. The god-destroying light merged with the god's blade and turned into a terrifying blade light. Puff! Puff! Blood splattered everywhere. 2 people screamed. The 2 young men of the Imperial Advisor's residence who had the strength of the 6th King God layer retreated. Their bodies were cut in half, and they fell to the ground. It was a horrible sight. The 2 of them hadn't awakened their original secret techniques. They couldn't block Chiao Autumn Moon's blade. Help! Young master! Help! The 2 young men of the Imperial Advisor's residence screamed in agony. Wu Fan pulled a long face and rushed over. He used his divine power to connect their bodies and fed them divine pills. Even though the 2 of them hadn't awakened their original secret techniques, they had the strength of the 6th King God layer at such a young age. As their cultivation increased, they might be able to awaken their original secret techniques in the future. Their future was limitless. Wu Fan couldn't let them die so easily. On the other side, Yu Tian and the tall and sturdy young men of the Imperial Advisor's residence didn't fare any better. Their original secret techniques had been destroyed by Chiao Autumn Moon. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and retreated. Deep wounds appeared on their bodies. The destructive energy kept destroying their divine bodies. Only the young men of the Lan family were in a better state. They managed to block Chiao Autumn Moon's attack. However, Chiao Autumn Moon didn't stop attacking. She continued to attack the young men of the Lan family. Her god-destroying light was fully unleashed. Together with her abundant divine power, she kept attacking the young men of the Lan family. Even though the young men of the Lan family were 1 king god layer higher, Chiao Autumn Moon controlled 8 different types of divine power, which was enough to make up for the difference. However, Chiao Autumn Moon's god-destroying light was even more terrifying than her opponent's secret technique. The 2 of them exchanged more than 10 attacks. The young man of the Lan family couldn't win. He coughed out blood and retreated. A deep wound appeared on his body. They lost. The 5 young men of the Lan family were defeated. Everyone's faces were filled with astonishment. Even when the 5 geniuses joined forces, they were still no match for Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon's strength had truly shocked everyone. She's only been in the Great Void Imperial Academy for a few hundred years, but she's improved so much. Even among the previous batch of students, there aren't many who can suppress her. That's right. In the previous batch of students, the strongest ones either established their own families or joined the army to train. None of them stayed in the Great Void Imperial Academy. Many people were discussing this matter. The peak experts of the previous batch were all out on experiential training. Practically none of them came to participate in the Divine Dragon Banquet. Autumn Moon's potential is too strong. I'm afraid that among the new batch of students, only Di Jiani can be compared to her in terms of potential. That's right. Although Autumn Moon didn't make it into the top 3 when the Great Void Imperial Academy was held, she definitely had the potential to make it into the top 3. Not to mention the future, even with her current strength, I'm afraid she's already firmly in the top 3. I'm afraid even Su Wuya is no match for her. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. As for those from the abysmal Heavenly King residence, Wu Fan, Lan Feng, Chu Chenkong, and the others, their expressions were extremely ugly. I'll say it again. Those who spoke just now, slap them 20 times. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Autumn Moon spoke again. Her voice was cold as she looked at those who spoke just now. Yu Xing and the others' faces were pale. It would be embarrassing if they slapped themselves in front of everyone. Yu Xing stammered for a long time but couldn't say anything. Bam. Autumn Moon stepped forward, and a powerful aura surged towards Yu Xing. Yu Tian and the others gritted their teeth. They wanted to stop Autumn Moon, but they were powerless. If they continued fighting, they would be in danger. If you don't slap yourself, then I'll have to cripple you. Autumn Moon spoke. Bathed in the black light of destruction, Autumn Moon looked like a demoness at this moment. Crown Prince. Wu Fan looked at the Crown Prince and gave him a pleading look. Although he didn't speak just now, someone from the Imperial Tutor's residence had. If the Imperial Tutor's residence also slapped themselves, it would be a slap to the Imperial Tutor's residence's face. However, the Crown Prince pretended not to see it. So many people were fighting against one woman, but they couldn't win. The crown prince didn't have the face to help Wu Fan and the others. Seeing this, Wu Fan was sad. Yu Xing's face was pale. Seeing that Autumn Moon was getting closer, he gritted his teeth and said, "Fine, I'll slap myself." Yu Xing waved his hand and slapped himself. Immediately, a finger mark appeared on his face. "Too light. Hit harder," Autumn Moon said coldly. Yu Xing was furious, but at this moment he could only grit his teeth and continue. Slap. He slapped himself again. Immediately, his face swelled up and blood spurted out of his mouth. Many people felt their teeth ache. They could all feel the pain. This time, Autumn Moon didn't speak. Yu Xing continued to slap himself. The slapping sounds continued. After 20 slaps, Yu Xing's face had turned into a pig's head. It was beyond recognition. The rest of the people who spoke just now had ugly expressions. They were about to cry. Now they were filled with regret. They regretted that they had opened their mouths and ended up like this. From now on, they wouldn't be able to raise their heads. But then again, they didn't expect that Autumn Moon's strength would reach this level. Even the previous batch of geniuses wasn't a match for Autumn Moon. "It's your turn." Autumn Moon looked at the young man beside Wu Fan. "Quit while you're ahead. He's from the Grand Tutor's residence." Wu Fan wanted to threaten Qiuyu. "Slap yourself." Autumn Moon interrupted Wu Fan and said coldly. Her eyes were firm. "Damn it, that bitch." Wu Fan roared in his heart. Naturally, he didn't dare to say it out loud for fear of revenge. "Humph, after this, I'll find a chance to capture that bitch and bring her to the Grand Tutor's residence. I'll teach her a lesson." Wu Fan thought viciously. "Still not going to slap yourself?" Autumn Moon stared at the young man from the Grand Tutor's residence. The young man was about to cry. Seeing that Wu Fan had turned his head to the other side and didn't look at him, he helplessly started slapping himself. Slap. Slap. After 20 slaps, his face was swollen like a pig's head. Then, it was the turn of a young man from the War God family. That young man was helpless and could only slap himself 20 times. Good job. Mo Ning was excited. Her heart was filled with joy. "Crown Prince, there's someone here who doesn't welcome me. Autumn Moon, goodbye." Then, Autumn Moon cupped her fists at the Crown Prince and turned to leave. "Sister Autumn Moon, I'll go with you." Mo Ning chased after her. "No need. I'm not in a good mood. I'll go out for a walk. You can enjoy the dragon meat and dragon wine here. It's good for your cultivation," Autumn Moon said and stepped into the air. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared from the Millennium Garden. "Come, let's continue drinking." The scene was a little awkward. Someone came out to smooth things over. Chapter 3296. The mystical dragon banquet continued. However, some people found the food tasteless. For example, Wu Fan and the others were extremely unhappy. Huoranwen W. Come after a while, the atmosphere calmed down a little. Report. At this moment, a middle-aged man in battle armor flew in. This person was the Crown Prince's guard. The Crown Prince frowned and said, "What's the matter?" "Crown Prince, someone wants to come in to participate in the Divine Dragon Banquet." The middle-aged guard reported. "The Divine Dragon Banquet has already started. Isn't it ridiculous to want to come in now?" Beside the Crown Prince, another prince sneered. "Who is it?" The Crown Prince asked directly. "It's the third flower of the Great Void Imperial family, Lu Ming," the middle-aged guard said. "What? Lu Ming?" A few exclamations came from the crowd. They were Wu Fan, Lan Feng, Chu Qingkong, Yu Xing, and the others. "Isn't Lu Ming dead? Why is he here?" Wu Fan growled in disbelief. "He's indeed outside," the middle-aged guard added. The Crown Prince's eyes flashed. No one knew what he was thinking. After a while he said, "Let him in." "Yes." The middle-aged guard nodded and flew out. Not long after, a figure stepped in the air. It was Lu Ming. When Lu Ming arrived, all eyes fell on Lu Ming. "It's really him. It's really Lu Ming. That's right. From the life aura, it's really him." Everyone said that Lu Ming was already dead. He died in the hands of the remnants of the previous dynasty. It seems like it was all a rumor. The scene was filled with discussions. Wu Fan, Lan Feng, Yu Xing, and the others looked at Lu Ming with gloomy faces. Killing intent flashed in their eyes. Lu Ming, how dare you? The Crown Prince held the Divine Dragon banquet, but you came late. What is the meaning of this? Are you looking down on the Crown Prince? Wu Fan slammed the table and shouted. Lu Ming glanced at Wu Fan with disdain, then directly ignored Wu Fan. Landing on the ground, he cupped his fists at the Crown Prince and said, Lu Ming greets the Crown Prince. Lu Ming was attacked by the remnants of the previous dynasty in the Black Jade Gold Mine and suffered heavy injuries. I have been recuperating for the past few years and have just returned to the holy capital. I hope the Crown Prince will forgive me for being late. With just a few simple words, he pushed away all the responsibility of why he was late. I see. Everyone suddenly understood. It turned out that Lu Ming hadn't died, but had been seriously injured. He had been recuperating all these years, which was why he hadn't appeared. This made perfect sense, and most people believed it. So that's how it is. No worries, please take a seat. The Crown Prince smiled and waved his hand. Lu Ming turned around and looked around. Then he frowned. He did not see Autumn Moon. He had only come because he had heard that Autumn Moon was also here. Otherwise, he would not have bothered to come. However, why didn't he see Autumn Moon now? Young Master Lu Ming, are you an Autumn Moon? Noticing that Lu Ming was looking around, as if he was looking for someone, Mo Ning immediately called out. Lu Ming walked over and said, That's right. I heard that Autumn Moon was also here. Why didn't I see her? Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon was here just now, but she was forced to leave. Mo Ning gritted his teeth and said angrily. She was forced to leave? What happened? Lu Ming's eyes shone with cold light and his voice was cold. It's like this. Mo Ning immediately narrated the matter that had just happened. Boom. A terrifying aura burst out from Lu Ming's body. His whole body was covered with divine power, as if it was burning with flames. The cold murderous intent constantly filled the air, and the temperature of the scene seemed to be dropping. Lu Ming did not expect such a thing to happen. So many people had teamed up to bully Autumn Moon and a girl. One could imagine how much humiliation Autumn Moon had suffered. If it wasn't for Autumn Moon's strength, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lu Ming's murderous intent was extremely strong. A dragon had a reverse scale, and those who touched it would be killed. The person Lu Ming loved was his reverse scale. Lu Ming, this is the Divine Dragon Banquet hosted by the Crown Prince. You released your aura and disturbed everyone. What is the punishment for disturbing the Divine Dragon Banquet? Yu Xing shouted coldly. He had been abused by Lu Ming and hated Lu Ming to the core. Naturally, he would seize every opportunity to attack Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward, causing the ground to shake. His eyes were like lightning as he stared at Yu Xing and said, Are you also involved in the people who attacked Autumn Moon? Come out and face your death. What arrogance! I did make a move on that bitch Qiuyu. So what? Yu Xing said coldly. Kill. Lu Ming shouted and punched out. A 9-clawed dragon burst out and charged at Yu Xing. Humph. You've been recovering for hundreds of years. I've improved for hundreds of years. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Yu Xing sneered and charged out. Ghost Chi soared into the sky and formed a ghost king that charged at the 9-clawed dragon. However, when the 9-clawed dragon and the ghost king collided, the 9-clawed dragon roared and tore the ghost king apart. It then continued to charge at Yu Xing. Yu Xing's expression changed and he frantically retreated. The 9-clawed dragon's speed was faster than his. Just as it was about to hit Yu Xing, Yu Tian attacked from the side. He struck out with his palm, and a skeletal hand slammed towards the 9-clawed divine dragon, successfully blocking it. If you want to attack, I'll accompany you. Yu Tian stood up. His eyes were cold and filled with killing intent as he stepped out. Don't worry, you'll all die, Lu Ming said coldly. You want to kill us? Very well. Yu Tian sneered, and then looked at the Crown Prince. Your Highness, killing people here today won't affect the mystical dragon banquet, right? The Crown Prince's eyes flashed with a strange light. Since we're attacking, casualties are inevitable. It's fine. Lu Ming was slightly surprised. The Crown Prince's words clearly showed that he was on the side of the Nine Serenities' Heavenly King residents. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, he was just a new student in everyone's eyes. Yu Tian, on the other hand, was a prodigy from the previous batch and was definitely stronger than Lu Ming. Based on this, the Crown Prince's words clearly showed that he did not care about Lu Ming's life. However, the Crown Prince's words were exactly what Lu Ming wanted. "Thank you, Your Highness." Yu Tian was overjoyed. His body flashed with a violent and eerie aura. Yu Xing, Wu Fan, Chu Qingkong, and the others were also overjoyed and filled with killing intent. Today they had to kill Lu Ming. Autumn Moon was indeed strong before, but they did not believe that Lu Ming could be so strong. Prodigies like Autumn Moon had too much potential and improved too quickly. It was extremely rare. They did not think that Lu Ming had the same potential. Moreover, Lu Ming had been injured before and had been recovering. How much improvement could he have made? This was a good opportunity to kill Lu Ming. Senior brother Yu Tian, this person has a treasure to defend his soul, Yu Xing reminded. It's fine. Even if we don't attack his soul, killing him will be easy. Yu Tian sneered. His figure swayed and he dashed out. A crescent-shaped scimitar appeared in his hands, and he slashed at Lu Ming. Chapter 3297. A crescent-shaped blade appeared in Yu Tian's hand. It was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper as it slashed towards Lu Ming. Huoranwen W. 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 R. A. N. W. E. N. A. Com. Bam. Lu Ming took a step forward and dodged Yu Tian's attack like lightning. He charged towards Yu Xing. With a wave of his hand, several nine-clawed dragons flew out and surrounded Yu Xing and the other prodigies of the Abysmal Heavenly Palace. In the Black Jade Gold Mine, he was 100% sure that one of the people who tried to assassinate him was from the Abysmal Heavenly Palace. He originally wanted to cause trouble for the Abysmal Heavenly Palace, but he didn't expect them to attack Autumn Moon. Therefore, he wouldn't let any of the prodigies of the Abysmal Heavenly Palace go. Yu Xing and the others' expressions changed. They used all their strength to block the nine-clawed dragon. However, Lu Ming's figure had already closed in, and he threw a punch at Dim Star. Not only did this punch contain terrifying divine power, but it also used the heavenly demon golden body. The terrifying fist made Yu Xing's soul tremble. He felt the threat of disappointment. He roared and used his origin source secret technique. He used everything he had to block it. However, Lu Ming's punch was useless. Yu Xing's origin source secret technique didn't even last half a second before it was destroyed by Lu Ming's punch. Ah! Yu Xing screamed as his body exploded and turned into a cloud of ghostly qi. The ghostly qi wriggled as if it wanted to recover. However, how could Lu Ming let it recover? A ball of fire appeared in Lu Ming's hand and engulfed the ghostly qi. Ah, spare me! Yu Xing's screams came from within the ghostly qi. However, the next moment the screams stopped. Yu Xing had fallen. Yu Xing, who was ranked 19th in the new batch of disciples from the Great Void Imperial family, had been easily insta-killed by Lu Ming. This shocked everyone. However, before everyone could react, Lu Ming had already charged towards the other Sky Prides from the 9th Abyss Heavenly King Mansion. Seeing that Yu Xing had been killed, Yu Tian's eyes turned red, and he charged towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming didn't fight with him for now. He focused on the others. His fists punched out, causing the air to explode. Those geniuses from the Nine Nether Heavenly King Palace couldn't resist at all. Miserable screams rang out as they followed in Yu Xing's footsteps. Their bodies exploded in the air, their souls destroyed by Lu Ming's destructive power. Ah, Lu Ming, you deserve to die, you deserve to die. Yu Tian roared crazily, his killing intent incomparably cold. Those who came today could be said to be the strongest among the younger generation of the Abysmal Heavenly King Mansion. But now they were all dead. It was a huge loss. For example, with Yu Xing's talent, he would definitely be a giant in the future when he grew up. He could make the 9th Abyss Heavenly King Mansion even more glorious. But now it was all for naught. Yu Tian was furious. He used all his strength and charged towards Lu Ming. Now it's your turn. At this moment, Lu Ming looked coldly at Yu Tian and punched towards him. Clang! Lu Ming's fist collided with Yu Tian's sword. The sound of metal clashing rang out, as if two divine weapons were clashing. However, the final result made everyone's jaws drop. Yu Tian's battle saber vibrated continuously before finally shattering. As for Yu Tian, he quickly retreated. Kill! Lu Ming shouted coldly and charged towards Yu Tian. Yu Tian's cultivation was one level higher than Lu Ming's. However, Lu Ming controlled 11 types of divine power. Just now, he had activated the battle character art and quadrupled his combat strength. Coupled with the heavenly demon golden body, his combat strength completely overpowered Yu Tian. Yu Tian shouted angrily and used his origin source secret technique to resist. However, he was still no match for him. The result was the same. Under Lu Ming's iron fist, Yu Tian could only barely block a few moves before his origin source secret technique was destroyed. Bam! Lu Ming's fist landed on Yu Tian's chest. Yu Tian screamed as his body exploded into a cloud of ghost qi. However, he was much stronger than Yu Xing and the others. The ghost qi quickly gathered and reformed into a body. He wanted to escape. However, Lu Ming's eyes shone with white light. He used the extreme yin pupil of the yin-yang god eye. A whirlpool suddenly appeared. A terrifying coldness enveloped Yu Tian and was about to freeze him. His body immediately stiffened. Then, with a furious roar, he charged forward with all his might, wanting to escape. However, it was too late. Lu Ming had arrived. No, Lu Ming, this is the divine dragon feast. You can't kill me. Yu Tian roared, screaming miserably, incomparably terrified. Ridiculous. Lu Ming said coldly. It was Yu Tian who asked the crown prince whether it was okay to kill on the spot. The crown prince said that it was normal to die. Now it was Yu Tian's turn to be killed. He still said that it was the divine dragon feast and that he could not be killed. The crown prince's face darkened. He did not expect this to happen. He wanted to stop it, but he had already said it. If he spoke now, wouldn't he be slapping his own face? Go to hell. Lu Ming landed a punch on Yu Tian's head, blasting it open. This time, Yu Tian could no longer reform his body because his soul had been completely destroyed by Lu Ming. Yu Tian was dead. At this point, all the geniuses from the 9 Nether Heavenly Palace who came to participate in the Divine Dragon Feast were killed by Lu Ming. Hee, well done. Someone in the crowd laughed loudly, feeling carefree. The 9 Nether Heavenly Palace had strange methods and were overbearing. They were the evil sect of the past, the 9 Nether sect. They had offended countless people. Now that Yu Tian and the others were killed, many people were happy. The strongest geniuses of the younger generation of the 9 Nether Heavenly Palace are all dead. I wonder how those old guys will react when they find out. It will be interesting. Indeed, they will probably go crazy. Some people discussed softly. At this moment, Lu Ming's gaze turned towards Wu Fan and the others. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. He didn't intend to stop here. Those who had attacked Qiuyu before must all die. Wu Fan, Chu Qingkong and the others turned pale. Damn it, how can he be so strong? Wu Fan roared in his heart. Everyone knew Yu Tian's strength. He was a 5th-layer divine king, and had awakened his origin source secret technique. He was a peerless genius. But now he was no match for Lu Ming, and was killed by Lu Ming. They would only die if they went up. Hadn't Lu Ming been healing for the past few hundred years? Could healing increase one's strength? They knew that Lu Ming was talking nonsense. Who else attacked Autumn Moon? Come out and die. Lu Ming shouted coldly. His killing intent made many people tremble. And Emo Ning was about to say something, but Wu Fan's cold eyes met with Emo Ning's and they were filled with threat. Emo Ning's face turned pale. Obviously, if she said anything, she would offend Wu Fan. Wu Fan was the son of the imperial tutor, and she could not afford to offend him. Emo Ning froze. She wanted to say something, but did not dare to. Those who attacked just now were from the imperial tutor's residence. At this moment, a voice sounded out, and it was the few people who had attacked Qiuyu. Chapter 3298. It was a handsome young man. Many people recognized that he was the son of the Grand Tutor of the Taishu dynasty. In the Taishu dynasty, although the imperial tutor was powerful, there was no one who could defeat him. However, that didn't mean that no one could go against him. The current Grand Tutor was the Imperial Preceptor's sworn enemy. Everyone knew that the Grand Tutor was on the second prince's side. The Imperial Tutor was on the Crown Prince's side. The Grand Tutor's son was not afraid of Wu Fan. He even pointed out the person who had attacked Lu Ming. Very well. You will all die. Lu Ming spoke coldly, his voice extremely cold. Bang. Lu Ming dashed towards Wu Fan like a wild beast. Young master, retreat. We will stop him, shouted one of Wu Fan's subordinates. Then, the geniuses who had come with Wu Fan charged towards Lu Ming. There were 3 geniuses who had attacked Autumn Moon. They joined forces to fight against Lu Ming. At the same time, the top genius of the Lan family attacked Lu Ming from the side. The genius of the Lan family was strong. He was in the 6th King God realm, and had awakened the original source secret technique. He was the strongest one who had attacked Autumn Moon. He was vicious. He had used the original source secret technique to kill Lin Fan in one blow. However, Lu Ming would not let him succeed. The Gate of Domination appeared, emitting terrifying energy waves. Boom. The Gate of Domination collided with the original source secret technique of the top genius of the Lan family. There was a loud explosion. Then, the top genius of the Lan family was knocked back. How is that possible? Many people were shocked. The top genius of the Lan family was called Lan Bo. He was in the 6th King God realm, and had awakened the original source secret technique. However, right now he was sent flying after the collision with Lu Ming. He was no match for him at all. How could this be possible? That's terrifying. Lu Ming's cultivation has reached the 4th tier Divine King realm. Indeed. When the Sacred Institute of the Taishu Imperial family was held, he was only in the 1st King God realm. Now he has reached the 4th King God realm. He has improved faster than Autumn Moon. Freak! Many people exclaimed in surprise. Lu Ming did not stop attacking while everyone was still in shock. After repelling Lan Bo, the Overlord God Spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Unending river of Spear Dao. With a wave of the Tyrant God Spear, a long river appeared and enveloped the few geniuses from the Imperial Advisor's residence. The endless spear light in the long river attacked them fiercely. Puff! Puff! The defenses of the 3 Sky Prides from the Imperial Advisor's residence were breached as bloody holes appeared on their bodies. 2 of them were at the 6th King God realm, but they hadn't awakened the original secret technique. Their bodies were like a beehive as they died. This scene caused the faces of Chu Chungkong and the others from the War God clan to turn extremely gloomy. What Lu Ming was using was the War God family's secret technique. However, its power was even stronger than when someone from the War God family used it. Lu Ming's figure rushed up, and the Tyrant God Spear swept out continuously. Bang! The last prodigy of the Imperial Advisor's residence was also blown up by the spear. One of the Sky Prides who had awakened the original secret technique was killed. After killing the Sky Prides, Lu Ming executed the 9 Heavens rock art. His figure flashed as he charged towards Lan Bo Universal Sword Dao. Lan Bo roared as he executed the original secret technique. Thousands of sword shadows flew towards Lu Ming, trying to kill Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming opened his mouth with the Sovereign's Gate. With a shake, all the sword shadows dissipated. Lu Ming did not stop as he charged towards Lan Bo. Although Lan Bo's cultivation was stronger, he was no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming executed the 2 original secret techniques consecutively, alternating between them. Their power was terrifying. In just a few moves, Lan Bo was no match for Lin Fan. The Sovereign's Gate hit his shoulder, and he was sent flying backwards, coughing up blood. War God Strike, Sovereign's Gate. Lu Ming shouted as he executed his ultimate move. A giant war god appeared, riding on a war horse as he charged towards Lan Bo. Lan Bo grunted as he was sent flying backwards. He was almost torn apart. Following that, the Sovereign's Gate continued to suppress him. Lan Bo roared as he coughed up blood. A shocking sword intent rushed into the sky, trying to block the Sovereign's Gate. However, a spear light was as fast as lightning, piercing through his body. He no longer had the strength to resist the Sovereign's Gate. The Sovereign's Gate pressed down and smashed onto Lan Bo's head. Lan Bo's body exploded in the air. The Lan family's number 1 Sky Prides had fallen. In the crowd, Lan Feng's face turned pale. At this point, All the people who attacked Autumn Moon had been killed. However, Lu Ming did not stop and continued to charge towards Wu Fan. Wu Fan was the mastermind. How could he not die? Enough! At this moment, a majestic and domineering voice sounded. The Crown Prince could not help but speak. It was fine if the others died, but Wu Fan could not die. Wu Fan was the only son of the Imperial Advisor, and the Imperial Advisor was on his side. If he allowed Wu Fan to be killed, there would be problems in his relationship with the Imperial Advisor. When the Crown Prince spoke, Wu Fan was overjoyed. However, Lu Ming paused. Wu Fan is the one who gave the order. He must die. Lu Ming said coldly. Many people's hearts beat wildly. Lu Ming was openly disobeying the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince's face immediately darkened. In the Taishu dynasty, the Crown Prince had great authority. He was the future Crown Prince. Moreover, he had been the Crown Prince for many years. In terms of cultivation, the Crown Prince was the most powerful person in the Taishu dynasty. Usually, in the entire Taishu dynasty, not many people dared to disobey the Crown Prince. However, Lu Ming, a junior, dared to disobey the Crown Prince. This made the Crown Prince's eyes flash with killing intent. Although he spoke just now, he did not attack. Lu Ming, no one to stop. You have already killed those who attacked. The Crown Prince finally said. In my opinion, speaking and attacking are the same. Lu Ming still shook his head. He took a step forward and was about to kill Wu Fan. He did not believe that the Crown Prince would attack him. The Crown Prince was no longer part of the younger generation. He was of the same generation as Jingyu. He had lived for almost a stellar year. His cultivation was unfathomable. Naturally, he would not lower himself to attack Lu Ming. How dare you disobey the Crown Prince? You are treacherous. The Crown Prince is kind and will not bicker with you. I will teach you a lesson on behalf of the Crown Prince. With a cold shout, a figure pounced at Lu Ming at an alarming speed. Before the person arrived, a terrifying force had already locked onto Lu Ming and was about to attack Lu Ming. Wang. Lu Ming swept his long spear, and the overbearing god spear swept behind him. Boom. The overbearing god spear collided with the figure's palm print. There was a terrifying explosion. The force spread in all directions. Lu Ming's figure retreated slightly. That figure also landed on the ground. It's Miao Xian. Someone exclaimed. They recognized the young man who attacked Lu Ming. Chapter 3299. Miao Xian was ranked 20th during the Great Void Imperial Family's Holy Institute. He could be said to be one of the top geniuses. Later on, he joined the Crown Prince's side. Now his cultivation base was terrifying. Kneel down and apologize to the Crown Prince. Miao Xian shouted coldly and waved his palms toward Lu Ming. Every time he blasted his palms out, a golden and dazzling sacred mountain emerged and suppressed Lu Ming. Every single godly mountain weighed hundreds of millions of pounds, causing the void to explode continuously. 7th layer King God Realm. Lu Ming's expression turned serious. Miao Xian's cultivation base had reached the 7th layer of the King God Realm, making him a high-level King God. He wasn't an ordinary 7th layer King God Realm cultivator, but a top genius. The divine power of a 7th layer King God Realm cultivator was too strong. Coupled with a terrifying secret technique, his power was terrifying. Ancient God Technique. Lu Ming shouted as he used the Ancient God Technique. His body expanded and turned into a green-armored ancient god. Then he held the Gate of Domination in one hand and the Tyrant God's spear in the other, and attacked continuously. Boom, boom, boom. The Gate of Domination and the Tyrant God's spear clashed with the Golden Mountain, causing a huge earthquake. At this moment, the entire Millennium Garden was filled with colorful lights. Countless runes filled the air, forming a huge formation to protect the area. Otherwise, the area would have been destroyed long ago. The two of them fought intensely. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. For a moment, neither of them had a clear winner. This was shocking. Miao Xian was a 7th layer King God Realm cultivator, a high-level King God Realm cultivator. He was also ranked 20th in the previous batch of geniuses. After cultivating for so many years, he still couldn't defeat Lu Ming. Miao Xian's face was gloomy. His eyes were filled with terrifying killing intent. He had joined the Crown Prince and was fighting for him. If he couldn't defeat Lu Ming, wouldn't the Crown Prince look down on him? Miao Xian couldn't care less about hiding his strength. He shouted, "Gilded Gold Mountain." Endless divine power gathered, and a golden mountain appeared above Miao Xian's head. This mountain was filled with an ancient aura. At the top of the mountain, there seemed to be a figure sitting cross-legged, exuding terrifying killing intent. This was Miao Xian's secret technique. Boom! The golden divine mountain trembled, and grew to a size of 10,000 feet. It pressed down on Lu Ming, and a huge explosion occurred in the void. It transformed into a destructive power that rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression turned serious. Boom! Following this, a stronger ancient aura burst out from Lu Ming's body. At this moment, the second prince, the Crown Prince, and the others suddenly stood up from their seats. Their faces were full of shock. Origin Divine Power Factor, Third Awakening. The second prince murmured to himself. His eyes sparkled. What? Third Awakening of the Origin Divine Power Factor. Countless people at the scene exclaimed in disbelief. Third Awakening, it was actually the Third Awakening. The Third Awakening was much more difficult than the Second Awakening. As a top-notch Sky Pride, there were many who had undergone their Second Awakening. However, there were very few who had undergone their Third Awakening. So many people had fought before, whether it was Lan Bo, the #1 prodigy of the Lan family, or Miao Xian, they were all Second Awakenings. As for Lu Ming, he was only in the third layer of the King God realm, but he had undergone his Third Awakening. It was indeed shocking. Lu Ming had not used his Third Awakening before. Now that he had used it, the God's Gate emitted an even more terrifying light. The God's Gate enlarged and rushed towards Miao Xian's golden mountain. Boom! The two colossal objects collided in the air like two planets colliding. A dull explosion was heard and terrifying shockwaves spread out in all directions. The shockwaves hit the ground and the buildings, but they were all neutralized by the runes. However, there were still many shockwaves that rushed towards the young Sky Prides present. Not many people could withstand such terrifying shockwaves. At this moment, the Crown Prince waved his hand, and an invisible force covered the sky above the crowd. When the shockwaves reached the crowd, they were neutralized silently. Not a single ripple was emitted. Many people heaved a sigh of relief and continued to watch the battle. The God's Gate and the Golden Mountain shook violently and then flew back. Suppress! Miao Xian roared again, and the Golden Mountain pressed down on Lu Ming again. At the top of the mountain, the figure sitting cross-legged seemed to open its eyes. An even more terrifying shockwave spread out. It had to be said that Miao Xian was very strong. His origin secret technique was not to be underestimated. There was actually a humanoid figure sitting cross-legged at the top of the mountain. This was the first time Lu Ming had seen such an origin secret technique. Lu Ming used all his strength to control the God's Gate. After the Third Awakening, the God's Gate's power was even more terrifying. This was also Lu Ming's trump card against Miao Xian. Boom! The two sides collided for the second time. This time, the shockwaves were even more intense. At the same time, Lu Ming wielded the Tyrant God Spear and rushed towards Miao Xian. The Tyrant God Spear was made of stone and filled with the aura of time. With the injection of Lu Ming's divine power, it rapidly expanded and pressed down on Miao Xian like a heavenly pillar. Lu Ming did not perform the origin's secret skills of other divine powers. It was better to keep some trump cards. Furthermore, 2 types of divine powers and 2 Origin's secret skills were already terrifying enough. If he were to perform more Origin's secret skills, he might be able to scare others to death. Miao Xian's expression changed and became very serious. He didn't have 2 Origin secret techniques, so he could only use other methods to resist. Open for me! Miao Xian roared. The humanoid figure on the Golden Mountain emitted a dazzling light from its eyes. It actually shot out 2 golden beams of light that attacked Lu Ming. The golden beams of light bombarded the Tyrant God Spear, causing it to shake violently. The two of them engaged in an intense battle, constantly clashing. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. After dozens of blows, the two of them were still unable to determine a victor. Enough. At this moment, the Crown Prince spoke again. A powerful aura rushed toward Lu Ming and Miao Xian. The Crown Prince's cultivation was unfathomable. Lu Ming and Miao Xian's bodies shook violently, and they were forced to retreat. Lu Ming looked at the Crown Prince with a serious expression. If the Crown Prince attacked, he wouldn't stand a chance. Lu Ming, today is the Divine Dragon Banquet. If you want to kill someone, you can kill them. If you want to stay and drink a cup of Divine Dragon wine, I'll welcome you. If you want to leave, I won't stop you. However, today's matter ends here. The Crown Prince's words were sonorous and forceful, filled with powerful pressure. His meaning was clear. If Lu Ming wanted to continue, he would intervene. Lu Ming glanced at Wu Fan, and knew that he wouldn't be able to kill Wu Fan today. In that case, I'll take my leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists and turned to leave. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Crown Prince, this person is arrogant and unruly. Why don't you take him down and punish him severely? Chapter 3300. He's young and talented, so it's normal for him to be arrogant. Let him go. He'll be more restrained after some training. The Crown Prince waved his hand and said calmly, I'm impressed by the Crown Prince's magnanimity. It's my honor to serve the Crown Prince. The young man said respectfully. At the side, the second prince smiled disdainfully. The Crown Prince was obviously trying to win the hearts of the people and show his magnanimity, so that more geniuses would join him. He knew how ruthless the Crown Prince was. Continue the Divine Dragon Banquet. The Crown Prince ordered. Then he sat down and drank a cup of wine. At the same time, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. After Lu Ming left the aged Autumn Garden, he took out a voice transmission jade talisman and sent a message to Chiu Autumn Moon. Not long after, Chiu Autumn Moon's figure floated over. Young master, I knew you were fine. Chiu Autumn Moon threw herself into Lu Ming's arms, tears welling up in her eyes. Although she said that Lu Ming would be fine, she was still worried. Now that she saw Lu Ming return, she was naturally overjoyed. Silly girl, how could anything happen to me? I've only been in seclusion for a few hundred years. Lu Ming patted Chiu Autumn Moon's head and said gently. Then, the two of them returned to the Great Void Imperial Sacred Court. After returning to the Great Void Imperial Sacred Court, the two of them chatted about their experiences over the years. A few days later, Lu Ming and Chiu Autumn Moon went to the cultivation grounds again. This time, the two of them went to the Yin Yang Millstone. The Yin Yang Millstone could temper the divine body and divine power. Lu Ming wanted to use it to cultivate the heavenly devil golden body. Although Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the fourth divine king realm, which was the initial requirement to establish a faction, Lu Ming still had something important to do. That was to consecrate the primordial god statue. The primordial divine statue had not been consecrated. Even if it was consecrated, it would be useless. No one would join them. According to Blue Merchant, it wouldn't be long before the Taishu dynasty would open up a path to a dilapidated universe where the primordial idol could be consecrated. It was specially prepared for those who wanted to establish their own clans. Now all Lu Ming had to do was wait. When he arrived at the Yin Yang Millstone, Lu Ming didn't hesitate and directly charged into it. A terrifying crushing force immediately acted on Lu Ming's body. However, Lu Ming's current divine body was many times stronger than before. He circulated the heavenly demon golden body to resist the crushing force. Lu Ming was much more relaxed than before. Time passed day by day. Under the refinement of the Yin Yang Millstone, the heavenly demon golden body was slowly improving. His divine power was also slowly being refined. Time passed quickly, and another 30 years passed. On this day, Lu Ming's identity token representing the Great Void Imperial Academy lit up. This token was refined with a mysterious method. Not only did it record all of Lu Ming's information, but it also had the function of transmitting sound. Now, it was a message from the higher-ups of the Great Void Imperial Academy. Lu Ming took it out and looked at it. His eyes lit up. Is it finally going to start? Lu Ming whispered. The message was for those who had the opening token to prepare to enter the dilapidated universe 5 years later to consecrate the primordial god statue. The reason why they were notified 5 years in advance was that there were conditions to enter the dilapidated universe. First of all, they needed a primordial god statue. Otherwise, it would be useless even if they entered. However, many major forces had primordial god statues, so the geniuses from the major forces didn't have to worry. Another condition was that the dilapidated universe was very dangerous and needed to be accompanied by experts. The Great Void Imperial Academy had a rule that every genius who entered the dilapidated universe could bring 36 people with him. And these 36 people had to be below the Divine Lord realm. This was also for the sake of fairness. 36 people. Just right. Lu Ming smiled faintly. This time, the Nether Ape Fighting Tribe had brought 300 experts below the level of Sir God to accompany him. The weakest among them was a 7th-tier Divine King. There were quite a number of peak Divine King experts. He could choose at will. Unfortunately, the Autumn Moon didn't have a primordial god statue. The Autumn Moon also had an opening token. Without a primordial god statue, they couldn't enter. It's fine, young master. I'll stay by your side anyway. You alone will be enough to open the residence. I'll sell my opening token. The Autumn Moon smiled. In the end, they decided to sell the opening token of the Autumn Moon. At this moment, the news about entering the broken universe had slowly spread. For a time, it was like a storm was brewing. This was because the top 10 geniuses of the Great Void Imperial Academy were not the only ones who received the opening token. Some of the previous batch of geniuses could also receive the opening token by completing missions and accumulating merits. Therefore, there were many people who wanted to enter the dilapidated universe this time. These people began to prepare and gather experts. A few days later, the Autumn Moon released the news that they were going to auction the opening token. This news shocked the entire city. The opening token was very precious. It was an opportunity to establish one's own faction and develop quickly. Countless geniuses dreamed of obtaining it. Now that the Autumn Moon was going to auction it, it naturally shocked many people and attracted many geniuses. This time, the auction was very successful. In the end, the opening token was sold at a sky-high price. The Autumn Moon used it to exchange for a pile of treasures. Among them, there was a treasure of absolute frost. He gave it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming naturally accepted it without hesitation. After that, Lu Ming waited quietly until he entered the dilapidated universe. However, some people began to plot against Lu Ming. Lu Ming is most likely going to enter the dilapidated universe. This time, we'll kill him in the dilapidated universe. A cold voice came from the Crown Prince's residence. The Imperial Advisor's residence. This time, we'll bring 36 experts into the dilapidated universe. Lu Ming doesn't have any experts by his side. This time we must kill him. Wu Fan growled, revealing a cold murderous intent. At the Celestial Dragon Banquet, many geniuses from the Imperial Advisor's residence were killed by Lu Ming. The Imperial Advisor's residence had put in a lot of effort to recruit them. However, they died just like that. The loss was extremely heavy. Even he almost died in the hands of Lu Ming. He was chased by Lu Ming until he fled in a sorry state. This had happened again and again. He couldn't wait to kill Lu Ming. This time, entering the dilapidated universe was a good opportunity. He could bring 36 experts below the Divine Lord level. As far as he knew, Lu Ming didn't have any experts behind him. No matter how powerful Lu Ming was, he would only be killed when facing a peak Divine Lord. At the same time, the War God family was also discussing something. This time, the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence will fully support us. It's enough to gather 36 top experts to enter the dilapidated universe with you. An elder from the War God family said to Chu Chenkong. Very well. This time, I want Lu Ming to die in the dilapidated universe. Chu Chenkong said coldly. His eyes were extremely cold. Chapter 3301. Chu Chenkong's eyes flashed coldly. He was shocked by Lu Ming's strength. He had to kill Lu Ming as soon as possible. That's right. I guess the 9 Extinction Heavenly Lord Mansion will support Lu Ming and send experts to help him. We can't let him get what he wants. Then Chu Chenkong added. Don't worry about that. The Nine Sabers Heavenly Lord Mansion has already started to take action, sending experts to suppress the Nine Sabers Heavenly Lord Mansion. Not only that, the Nine Serenity Heavenly Lord Mansion has also sent experts to help the Nine Sabers Heavenly Lord Mansion. They have reached the border of the Nine Sabers Heavenly Lord Mansion and put pressure on the family. Now that the Nine Extinction Heavenly Lord Mansion is under pressure, how can he spare any experts to support Lu Ming? An old man smiled as if he had the pearl of wisdom in his hand. That's good. Chu Qingkong sneered. Everyone was making preparations, and time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, a few years had passed. On this day, an old man came to Lu Ming. Lu Ming recognized that he was the trusted aide of the Nine Extinction Heavenly Lord. Senior, why are you looking for me? Lu Ming asked. Lu Ming, you'll be entering the broken universe soon. It's very dangerous and you need to be accompanied by experts. Originally, the Heavenly Lord Mansion wanted to send 36 experts to help you. However, during this period, the Nine Sabers Heavenly Lord Mansion suddenly sent an army, and even the experts of the Nine Serenity Heavenly Lord Mansion to help. The Nine Extinction Heavenly Lord Mansion is under great pressure, and can't send any experts. The Heavenly Lord Mansion sent me to apologize to you, the old man said embarrassedly. Oh. Lu Ming nodded. His mind was racing and he thought of many things. At this time, the experts of the Nine Sabers Heavenly Lord Mansion and the Nine Serenity Heavenly Lord Mansion suddenly attacked the Nine Extinction Heavenly Lord Mansion and put pressure on them. Obviously, their purpose was to prevent the Nine Extinction Heavenly Lord Mansion from sending experts to help Lu Ming. Needless to say, they wanted to eliminate Lu Ming in the broken universe. Then I'll play with you in the broken universe. A murderous intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Those people who thought that he didn't have any experts around him would be wrong. He would give them a surprise. Lu Ming, the Heavenly King, is very sorry. He suggested that you do not need to take this risk. Obviously, he wanted to persuade Lu Ming to give up on entering the broken universe. Although Lu Ming was strong, he was no match for those old fellows who had cultivated for countless years. Senior, please thank the Heavenly King for me. I know what to do. I won't take the risk easily. Lu Ming said. That's great. The old man nodded and took his leave. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a sneer, and he continued cultivating. In the blink of an eye, it was time to enter the broken universe. On this day, in a square in front of the palace of the Taishu dynasty, there was a constant stream of people walking through the air. They were all geniuses who came to enter the broken universe. Di Jiani brought 36 experts and descended upon the place. Behind Di Jiani was the Great Zhou Heavenly King's residence. Since Di Jiani was a supreme talent, the Great Zhou Heavenly King's residence would naturally support him fully. Qian Shengxian, Chu Qingkong and the others had all arrived. Wu Fan was also here. In fact, Wu Fan did not enter the top 10 last time, and naturally did not have an opening token. However, one of the geniuses from the Imperial Advisor's residence was from the previous batch of students. He had accumulated merits and obtained an opening token. This token was given to Wu Fan. Lu Ming is here. Someone whispered. Wu Fan, Chu Qingkong, and the others looked over. Lu Ming brought 36 experts from the Dark Ape Combat Tribe and walked through the air. The 36 Dark Ape Combat Tribe members were wrapped in black robes. Their bodies and appearances were shrouded in black tokens. Moreover, they had used a special method to conceal their aura. Unless one's cultivation was much higher than theirs, it would be difficult to detect their cultivation. Lu Ming really came. He actually dares to come. Very good. Wu Fan, Chu Qingkong, and the others whispered. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. They originally thought that Lu Ming would not dare to come. Then, they began to size up the 36 Dark Ape Combat Tribe members who came with Lu Ming. Humph. Do you think that you can just find 36 people to go in? Wu Fan sneered in his heart. This time, the people that the top prodigies had brought were all carefully selected experts. They could not be compared to a few random people. There are quite a lot of people. Lu Ming also looked around. He realized that when the Taishu Imperial Academy opened, all the top 10 except for Autumn Moon had come. Dijiani, Su Wuya, Chu Qingkong, Tian Xingxian, Yi Jifan, Shuihen, Miao Shui, and Sui Hanqiu. Each of them had brought 36 experts with them. In addition to these people, there were more than 10 youths. These youths were from the previous batch of students. After a long period of hard work, they had also obtained the primordial deity statue and the qualification to enter the broken universe. These people were all prodigies from various factions. For example, some of them had sided with the crown prince, while others had sided with the second prince. Boom. Suddenly, a few powerful auras spread out. A few figures flew out from the Taishu imperial palace and stood in the air. These people were all experts from the Taishu dynasty. You guys follow us. An old man ordered and then flew in a direction. Everyone followed him. Not long after, they came to a secret place. This place was heavily guarded. The old men led them through the layers of defense and came to a core area. In this core area, there was a huge whirlpool that was constantly spinning. This is the entrance to the broken universe. I believe that you have some understanding of the broken universe. After you enter, you only have 10 years. Remember, you must mark the location where you entered. Remember, after 10 years, you must return to the place where you entered. Only then can you be teleported out. Otherwise, you will have to stay inside. Remember, an old man warned. Also, the broken universe is very vast. After you enter, you will be teleported to different areas. If you want to be teleported to the same area, you can do so as long as your divine power is connected. That way, after you enter, you will appear in the same area. Another old man said. Lu Ming and the others nodded. The broken universe would open every once in a while. They had long understood this knowledge. Let's go. An old man ordered. Let's go. Immediately, a young man rushed into the vortex with 36 experts. After rushing into the vortex, they held hands and connected their divine power. That way, they would not be separated after entering. Buzz. The vortex trembled, and the young man and 36 experts disappeared into the vortex. Let's go. Following that, other people went up. Every group of people was connected with each other's divine power. After entering, they would appear in the same area. People continued to go up. Soon, the previous group of people disappeared into the vortex with their experts. Chapter 3302. Wu Fan, Chu Qingkong, and the others glanced at Lu Ming as if waiting for Lu Ming to enter first. Hehe, are you afraid that I'll back out? Then I'll do as you wish. Lu Ming smiled and flew into the whirlpool with the 36 dark ape fighting tribe experts. They were also palm to palm, connected to each other, and became one. Then a force enveloped their bodies. In the next moment, Lu Ming and the others disappeared from the whirlpool. Very good, they really went in. This time, I'll finish you off once and for all. Wu Fan sneered and immediately stepped into the whirlpool with his subordinates. Then the others followed suit. Lu Ming entered the vortex and he felt as though he was shuttling through the void. After an unknown period of time, they appeared in a void the next moment. Cold, desolate, dark. That was Lu Ming's first reaction. He raised his eyes and looked around, carefully sizing up the area. He was standing in the starry sky of the universe. The 36 dark ape fighting tribe experts were near him. At this moment, they all gathered around Lu Ming and came to Lu Ming's side. Not far behind them, there were 7 huge meteorites floating motionlessly. Further away, there were dim starlights. Other than that, it was pitch black. According to the rules, when one is transported into the broken universe, they will appear at the edge of the universe. The edge of the universe has been explored by others. There is no longer any God factor that can make the primordial God statue shine. Lu Ming thought. In order to make the primordial God statue shine and activate its mysterious abilities, one must absorb God factor. The so-called God factor was a factor contained in the primordial God statue. The broken universe was an ancient battlefield. For some reason, many primordial God statues had died here. Although countless years had passed, the remains, corpses, bones, flesh, and so on left behind by the primordial God statues would have God factor left behind. Their purpose in entering the broken universe was to let the primordial god statue absorb God factor and activate its mysterious abilities. As for the edge of the broken universe, it had been explored by countless people over the years. The God factor had been completely absorbed. Now, if he wanted to absorb a large amount of God spirit factor, he had to go to the core of the broken universe. In the core area, there were still many places that had not been explored, and there might be a large amount of God element there. However, the core area was undoubtedly even more dangerous. Let's sit down and mark these meteorites, Lu Ming instructed. 10 years later, they had to return to this place before they could leave. That was why they had to leave a mark. Yes, war ancestor. A few of the Dark Ape Battle Tribe elites immediately made their mark on the 7 meteorites. In fact, as a precaution, he even left a mark in the nearby starry sky. After making the mark, they headed toward the depths of the broken universe. 36 Dark Ape Battle Tribe warriors surrounded Lu Ming to protect him. They didn't dare to move too fast because this was a broken universe, and it was very dangerous. The first few days were peaceful, and they did not encounter any danger. However, 10 days later, a strong wind blew in the starry sky. In front of them, there were a few huge tornadoes that swept across the starry sky. Yes, there were a few tornadoes in the starry sky. They were so big that Lu Ming could only watch as a star was sucked into the tornadoes. It was a terrifying scene. It's a cosmic storm. Let's leave, one of the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members exclaimed. They took Lu Ming and quickly left this place. They only heaved a sigh of relief when they could no longer see the tornadoes. This broken universe had been destroyed long ago. There was almost no spirit chi or divine chi. It was dried up. There was no planet that could give birth to life. There was no vitality. Countless years ago, a terrifying battle had taken place here. After the battle, some terrifying anomalies had appeared. For example, the tornadoes were called cosmic storms. If they were sucked in, even a divine lord would be in danger, let alone them. After avoiding the cosmic storms, they became more careful and slowed down. However, a few days later, they saw another shocking scene. A huge crack stretched across the starry sky of the universe. This was a huge spatial crack. There was a terrifying suction force around it. Lu Ming saw some meteorites that flew past it and were directly swallowed by the spatial crack. It was said that this was left behind by a terrifying expert in the battle. He split the universe with one move and left a huge crack. Even after countless years, the crack was still there. One had to know that the universe itself had the ability to repair itself. Many experts could split the space, but it would automatically repair itself in an instant. For example, if a punch hit water, it would create a hole, but the water would quickly repair itself. It was the same for space. However, this terrifying crack was said to have pierced through a different dimension and formed a terrifying suction force. There was once an expert who accidentally got close to the crack and was directly swallowed. It was said that there were black holes in the broken universe that were even more terrifying than this huge crack. They carefully avoided the huge crack and took a detour. Then they encountered a few more terrifying anomalies. Fortunately, they noticed them from afar and avoided them early. 2 months later, they had already flown an unknown distance. Is that a star? Suddenly, an abyssal ape whispered. In the starry sky ahead, there was a huge star floating, but it was very strange. It looked like a palm. From afar, it looked like the palm of a giant beast. Is it formed by the palm of some primitive god? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. If that was the case, it was very likely that there was a high concentration of God factor. They retracted their auras and carefully flew toward the star. This star was very huge, not smaller than the planets with life outside. Strangely, there were countless caves on it, like a beehive. Lu Ming and the others landed on the ground. Warrior ancestor, take out the primordial idol and see if there is any God factor, an old Dark Ape Battle Clan member suggested. Okay. Lu Ming nodded and took out the primordial idol. After taking out the primordial idol, there was no reaction at all. It seems that there is no God factor here. It has been absorbed by the people who came here before, Lu Ming said. If there was any God factor, the primordial idol would definitely have a reaction. This was because the primordial idol was made from the bones of a primitive god through a special method. It could automatically absorb god factor. Lu Ming was a little disappointed, but then he smiled. It was not that easy to absorb god factor for consecration. He waved his hand and put the primordial idol away. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment there was a series of violent sounds that seemed to come from underground. Chapter 3303. The sound of something breaking through the air came from underground. Lu Ming and the others paled. Something was trying to rush out. Battle Ancestor, be careful. The 36 Dark Ape Battle Tribe members appeared around Lu Ming, surrounding Lu Ming. In the next instant, black shadows flew out from the underground cave. They roared and charged at Lu Ming and the others. It was a strange creature. It had a humanoid shape and was over 2 meters tall. It had 2 horns on its head and a pair of wings on its back. Its entire body was covered in scales. The creature roared and emitted a savage aura. Its eyes were bloodshot as it charged at Lu Ming and the others. Kill! One of the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members roared. He took a step forward and his body swelled rapidly, revealing his sturdy physique. He threw a punch. Boom! There was a huge explosion in the air. The air shook violently. Violent energy surged forward. More than 10 strange creatures flew in front of the group. Their bodies exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Then, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe member waved his fists and attacked the creatures. Lu Ming realized that the creatures were very strong. The weakest one was in the first layer of the King God realm. The strongest one was in the 4th or 5th layer of the King God realm. More importantly, there were too many of them. However, Lu Ming had brought the strongest King God realm experts with him this time. Each Dark Ape Battle Tribe member was at the peak of the King God realm. Lu Ming was confident that they were all at the peak of the King God realm. The fighting strength of a peak of the King God realm expert was incomparably strong. Each of their fists could create a huge explosion and a terrifying destructive power. The strange creatures were constantly being blasted apart. However, there were simply too many of these strange creatures. They kept rushing out from the caves in all directions. It was as if the entire planet was the nest of these creatures. Moreover, these creatures had a pair of sharp claws. When they waved their claws, they were shockingly powerful. The more Lu Ming looked at the claws, the more he felt that they were similar to the planet under his feet. The shape of the planet under his feet was like the claws had been enlarged countless times. Strange creatures were pouncing on them from all directions. Attack! The other Dark Ape Battle Tribe members made their move as well. A total of 12 Dark Ape Battle Tribe members made their move. The other Dark Ape Battle Tribe members continued to stand guard around Lu Ming. 12 Peak Divine Kings took action together, the scene extremely terrifying. Large amounts of strange creatures were blasted apart. Although more and more strange creatures were flying out, they weren't enough to kill. Shortly after, more than 1,000 of them had died. The strongest one had the strength of the 6th King God layer. Lu Ming couldn't help but sigh. It was no wonder that they had to bring experts in. Not to mention anything else, just the fact that there were so many strange creatures here meant that if he were to be alone, he would be in grave danger. After killing over 1,000 strange creatures, there were finally no more strange creatures flying out. He seemed to be afraid. Some people speculate that the creatures in this broken universe evolved from the creatures who died in battle here. Could it be that these creatures evolved from the flesh and blood of some primitive god after its death over countless years? Lu Ming muttered. He speculated that the claw-like planet under their feet was most likely the claw of some primitive god. After countless years, it evolved into a planet. This strange creature had evolved from the palm of the primordial divine spirit. If that was the case, these strange creatures might have god factor in them. With that thought, Lu Ming took out the primordial god statue again. This time, as soon as he took out the primordial statue quickly changed. A layer of strange light appeared on the primordial god statue. Then, rays of light appeared on the corpses of the strange creatures. These rays of light were like stars as they flew toward the primordial god statue and sank into it. After a while, The rays of light disappeared and the primordial god statue returned to its normal state. It seems like it hasn't been consecrated yet. There's too little god factor. Lu Ming muttered. Before he came, he had studied this problem. If the primordial god statue wanted to be consecrated, it couldn't just absorb god factor. It had to absorb enough god factor. Only when the god factor reached a certain level could the primordial god statue be consecrated. These creatures must have evolved from the flesh and blood of some primitive god. That's why they have god factor. However, after so many generations, their bloodline has become thin and their god factor is very faint. An old dark ape fighting tribe member said. Lu Ming nodded and said, "Let's go underground and take a look." Lu Ming immediately put away the primordial god statue and led the dark ape fighting tribe members into a cave. This planet was like a hornet's nest. The ground had been hollowed out and there were tunnels everywhere. They only focused on one direction and continued to fly downwards. At first, it was calm and peaceful. There was no threat. However, after a few hours, they finally encountered a large number of strange creatures that charged at them. This time, there was a seventh-layer king god realm existence among the strange creatures. They were even stronger. However, Lu Ming and the others still killed all of them. The god factor in their flesh and blood was absorbed by Lu Ming's primordial god statue. After that, they continued to move forward. They continued to kill. They didn't know how many strange creatures they had killed along the way, but the primordial god statue still hadn't been consecrated. Finally, they were close to the planet's core. Along the way, Lu Ming didn't get any god factor except for the weak god factor in the bodies of the strange creatures. Logically speaking, if this planet was formed from the claw of some primitive god, it should have a large amount of god factor. However, there was no god factor at all. There could only be one reason. The people who had come here before had absorbed all of it. Let's leave. There's no need to waste time here. Lu Ming said. It would be a waste of time to stay here. Then they left the planet and continued to fly toward the core of the broken universe. Later, they came across another planet. This planet looked like it was formed from the head of some creature. It was incomparably huge. Similarly, there was a strange creature on this planet. Its body contained weak god factor, but the planet itself didn't have any god factor. If we come across another planet like this, there's no need to stop. The god factor in the outer region of the broken universe is almost completely absorbed. Lu Ming said. They continued to move forward. Even if they came across a similar planet, they didn't stop or check it out. Just like that, another half a month passed. One day, they found an ancient battleship in the starry sky. No, it was half a battleship. It was incomparably huge, like a planet. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.